everybody. Welcome back to After Hours at Blondies, where we chit chat all about music and industry and DJ and nightlife and underground scenes. And today we have on the podcast the most talented, beautiful Awood. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for calling me beautiful.
We are so excited to chat with you all about your experience and diving back into time. I'll start way back.
All right.
Like way back.
Okay.
So, do you remember the very first song that you fell in love with?
Yes, it was the Aqua cassette that I had when I was maybe about 5 years old.
Legendary.
All the tracks are bangers. If
Yeah,
you haven't
they are.
checked it out, you
I
got
actually
to.
have. It's actually because I hate that kind of music back then. And I was like, these are all good.
Yeah.
So slapping.
Yeah.
And I think I can credit my first remix to that because I recorded over part of it, my own lyrics.
Oh my goodness.
So it was my voice screaming over Aqua, and I wish I still had that cassette. Like, it's gone, but that would have been iconic. I literally would have like re-released it, I swear.
Did you like have like the original cassette and then you taped over the thing that lets you record and then recorded over it?
Yeah, like I had this cassette player with a mic.
With a mic,
and
yeah.
I made
Oh
it
my
work
God.
somehow to
Okay,
speak.
maybe
and
with another cassette.
I have no
and a
idea,
blank one, yeah.
but it was
Okay, I
a good
get it.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's
Hey,
funny.
if it works, it works.
How old were you roughly?
I think 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
hilarious.
yeah.
Already producing.
Yeah.
From a young
Yeah.
age hasn't changed.
Working with the best samples.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah.
So I guess like moving into kind of like your childhood and upbringing too, I saw that you were a professional swimmer. And
I was.
How did that go? Like, how did that kind of inform like who you are today? Like, did you enjoy it? Do you still do it today?
I don't swim in pools anymore. I used to train 12 times a week in the pool
Wow.
throughout university. And so definitely learned a lot of dedication and whatnot from that. Now I just swim outside at like music festivals mostly or lakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Warm oceans.
More.
But yeah, it helped me learn how to really dedicate myself to something 100%. And just be willing to put in that time and effort and say no to other sacrifice, and all of that. But I'm really glad that I did it because it really gave me kind of a good balance in my life to this day. Like I focus a lot on my health, working out all the time, despite staying up way too late a lot of the time. It really put me into like a healthy mindset, and it was a really intense part of my life when I was swimming in university. So when I stopped that, that's when I kind of got into music because I suddenly had all of this time and I needed for my soul to like dedicate myself to something again. So
absolutely. And then that changed into music and DJing. You always loved music kind of throughout your life. Was there a moment where you realized then music was going to be the shift in the focus in your career? Was there a moment that you had that you kind of remember?
Probably when I went to my first big festival. It was in 2012. I went to Coachella. And the lineup that year, like look it up, it was crazy. You know, Snoop Dogg, Florence and the Machine, all of the big artists at the time, like mainstream stuff. And I thought I was going to be spending my whole time with all those guys, but I ended up in the electronic tent for, the entire weekend.
For sure,
Yeah.
Because even though like those guys are so great to watch live, I think when it's you're in the mood to party, especially if you listen, because I do listen to both sides of the coin. Honestly, there's nothing better than a good DJ set, for partying. You know what I mean? Like, there are times when a performance really kills it, but it's usually not at festivals because it's not their show. They got to work with the stage that's presented to them for the whole festival, and it's not like exactly. So they don't get to they don't give you the full meal deal that these performers usually do when they do a stadium show and whatever. Right. So it's like kind of like a I wouldn't say a lukewarm version of what they do, but it's kind of like it's not as good as they could do. Whereas a DJ in a basement that's killing it is like you can't beat that either. Like whether it's a big stage, small stage, it's like I used to listen to nothing but hip hop, R&B, pop music back when I was younger. And I'd go to all kinds of concerts, shows, club nights, and just be frustrated to all hell. Like I just not enjoying myself. And then like, you know, ever since I started really getting into electronic music, which is over 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like life-changing experience after life-changing experience after life-changing experience after. I was just like, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop. So I get it for sure.
The energy really got me.
For sure.
Yeah, like there, it was just like, wow, we're all, you know, all those feelings. Like I was 20 years old, like we're all one, and like this is so cool, and we're all dancing to this beat. And I saw like Avicii and Data Life and all those big, you know, big room Zed type artists at the time, and it was just an incredible time.
Life changing.
Yeah, and then I just went to Shambhala, and I just started going, and then that year also I was just like, I need to get a controller. And I need to
that's a big common theme with people we talk to. You know, it's like the Shambhala is the gateway drug to like
getting a
I just changed my life to
Isn't
like
it?
have a DJ, you know, like
100%.
it's like I feel like there's at least half a dozen people that specifically said Shambhala was like the catalyst.
Yeah.
Maybe not the trigger, but definitely like I was going like this and Shambhala, and now it's like that. You know what I mean? Like, like the,
so
the
I guess
wake-up
within
call.
that too, with that Shambhala, and like, was there something that happened at Shambhala, or what was it about that connection between Shambhala and I Need a Controller?
Just I guess I didn't really know before all of the things that DJs and producers could do, like all of the different vibes they could bring, the different gear that they use, whether they're have a set on Ableton or they're mixing, you know, vinyl or they're mixing on CDJs, whatever it is, there's just so many ways to do it. And I just experienced kind of the full breadth of genres and all of that experiences. And really just fell in love with it, and also psychedelics. Like I did a bunch of psychedelics, and which is still a part of my life, and I was like, you know, what's stopping you, right? Like, why not you? Why wouldn't you try it out and see what you can do, even just for fun, obviously, you know, like give it a shot.
Within your brain or within your DJ career, the music, or even like where you can go within like producing too.
Totally. Yeah.
Psychedelics is another common theme in the I changed my life when. Put them together, Shambhala and psychedelics.
Totally.
Life changing.
I changed my life with Shambhala.
Shambhala translates into do psychedelics, change your life.
So for people who don't know, Shambhala is a beautiful festival that's run for how many years? Like 20 something.
I think it's 20. I think this is gonna be their 20th anniversary or 25 now.
25.
Yeah, it's 25.
So,
yeah. That's 2024 will be their 25. Yeah,
so
that makes
it's
sense.
predominantly focused around electronic music, but specifically bass. And now they've got all sorts of
It goes
genres.
all over the map now, for sure.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it turns into, it was 3 days and now it's 7, and some people go for 12.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, people, I would live there, honestly.
Totally.
Yeah, there's something about like the farm and the family that you find there.
I'm pretty sure there are some people that literally live in a ditch 360 days a year, and they crawl out of that ditch to sneak into Shambhala, walk out, and then sneak back into their ditch. I think there's like a subset of like maybe 100 to 200 people that actually do that.
Most likely.
Troll people.
Hello.
Yeah.
If you're
Starting
watching,
now, they are troll people.
welcome in. Nice to meet you.
That's you. I'm watching.
So I guess, all right, so moving into the world of Shambhala, was there a specific genre or a vibe that you really gravitated towards while you were there, especially in your first year? Because you experienced Coachella, bridging along the gaps. Was there a specific...
Definitely. I was a dubstep kid. Yeah, like
Tell me more.
Straight up.
If you're talking
dubstep?
2012, that was the golden age.
Even before that,
Yeah.
I snuck into clubs in Victoria in my hometown, and I actually saw Skrillex, and
Yeah.
the show was $8.
Yeah.
This was like way before he was a thing, and so I was always seeking out dubstep shows, a little bit of trance and you know EDM, big room here and there, but mostly dubstep.
It used to be good back then, though.
Yeah.
You know, we poo-poo on it now, but between 2010 to 2013, it was epic.
I'll never forget it. Yeah, the Village. Like I was stuck there the entire weekend, just like. My back couldn't handle that now, but back then it was
but then it
early
was
20s,
that's what
little piss and vinegar,
drew you
let's
in.
go.
good times.
Setup camp. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I guess the environment and the family and building friends. Like, do you find that you built a lot of friendships there you kind of have today, or what was that kind of dynamic between like kind of meeting new people and?
Yeah, I've definitely met
career.
people at Shambhala, but I would say the one place, if I could name a place in Vancouver where I kind of met most people, was at MIA. And I'm sure you've heard that before as well.
Yeah.
Sheen and Henry and my Initiative family and all of them I met through, all of us were playing in that sweaty little back room of MIA. Miss you.
Definitely some great times in there, climbing on top of the furniture.
Jumping on couches.
Insanity, but yeah, I met so many great people there. And then you start going to these festivals as a group and adding on more and more people. And I consider myself so lucky to have like a pretty big extended like community and family, and we all support each other. And it's really great. And I think, Shambhala, Base Coast, the festivals we have here, even the ones that like my homies throw, they all kind of have that similar, let's get cozy together and let's have an awesome time. And everybody's, very open-minded and easy to get along with. So I like that about our scene, is that there's just so many, friendly people.
Especially because when you think about when people come from outside of Vancouver, what's the stereotype is that Vancouver is very cliquey and closed off and yada yada. And I always tell people that is actually 100% correct, unless you meet the right people.
Totally.
You meet that right one or two people that gets you into like what we're talking about here, and then like Vancouver's a different city,
for sure.
Completely different city.
Everyone's down to share their friends if you're a nice person.
You just gotta find gotta find the right group. Like if you go to the Bar Star, Yaletown crew, you're not gonna find those people.
That's not where we're hiding.
Are you out there?
Spoiler alert.
Exactly. Just because I know I'm friends with those people too, so I know
they're wonderful, but they're not us.
Yeah.
They're not the people that go to MIA and all join together and make initiatives and collectives and festivals.
Totally make it happen, right?
Yeah. So I guess getting into the start of your DJing too, getting a controller. Do you remember the first controller that you had?
I do. I had a Tractor S4. And it's an awesome controller. I honestly I would mix on it if I still had it. It's really good time. I loved it.
Still does the job. That's awesome. So you started in 2014-ish, in and around there?
Actually a little bit earlier, maybe 2013. I was still living in Victoria. I just finished or was finishing university, and I kind of got my first gig. I got my first show at a rave on the island with actually the Vancouver Trance family.
Yeah, VTF. Let's go.
I knew some friends of friends through swimming, and so they booked me, which was sick. And I actually played a dubstep set at their
Trance festival.
At their Trance fest, so that was pretty sick. They were so kind. I was just had no clue what I was doing. It was awesome. And then I played a couple times at some of the clubs in Victoria, kind of just opening the night and whatnot. Crazy story. My first, one of my first shows, I was given a bottle of champagne, which was very nice. That's
such a cool gift.
But they popped it, and I don't usually drink. So I was like, I'm going to take this home. And I put it in the cup holder and started driving home, and I got pulled over. And I just have this huge open bottle of champagne right there, right? And I'm like this little kid, right? And literally the cop was like, have you been drinking? And I was like, no. And they obviously didn't believe me. And they took me out, gave me the breathalyzer. I was all good. And they were like, you really just did that. You're really telling the truth. And they just were like, just go home. Why would you ever do that? And I was like, I don't know.
You're like 20 years old. You
don't really think about that.
My brain's not really.
Also, you weren't actually drinking. For those who don't know, the liquor laws in British Columbia are so tough. If they see you with anything, they're like,
you can't have any open alcohol.
That was pretty crazy of me, to be honest. I should not have don't do that, but it was pretty funny.
The 1+1, if you're just looking at this the logic of the situation, you're definitely drinking in the car. But the thing is if the cop hears your story, looks at you, you're 20 years old, clearly you're derping out right now, you're you didn't realize
literally
this is
midnight after
it's okay.
I was literally I'm just excited, to be honest.
Wasn't thinking, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's fair.
So you didn't get pulled over, locked up forever,
no,
and you
I
made
survived.
it out of that situation, okay?
Yes. So after that, I moved to Vancouver.
Yeah.
I applied.
Did you grow up on the island?
I did,
Okay.
I'm an island boy. When did I move to Vancouver? 2014, I moved to Van. I applied for a DJ contest for MIA.
Yeah.
For an old group that I was a part of called Femme Fatale.
Yes.
With
cool.
Morgan, Sheaves, and Lyndon. Yeah, that was super fun. And yeah, I won the contest. So I got to play with some local gals. Yeah. And
Macy, who we've had on the podcast just recently. That was awesome.
And from there, I met like Maggie, who works at Blueprint, and then I met Henry and Jay from the initiative and all of that. And from there, like, the opportunities kind of open up more for me.
Yeah. And just staying in that circle, making those friends, being there consistently, showing up.
Totally. Supporting.
What were some of the big takeaways from kind of that era of like being in that environment? Because we get to look back at it now. Sadly, it's no longer here with us. But, you know, like just what were kind of some of the lessons learned out of that time?
Don't take this too seriously, for sure. For me.
In what way?
Like, I guess DJing was always, like, I always wanted it to be fun. Like, I have another job, right? And it's not that I don't want DJing to be my full-time job. It's just that I knew that if I wasn't having fun with every single aspect of my art, that it wouldn't be appealing to me and it would start to take away from it. So being at MIA really taught me that, and DJing in those times, because, you know, it was chaos, right? The pay was all over the place. They would take my gear if the headliner needed it because the CDJs were breaking. Like, I would have one deck for like 7 minutes, just like looping, like trying to figure it out, you know? And just like being patient and working with it. And like every issue that you could ever encounter has happened. I made every mistake I could make at a show. I always hit the play button with my elbow or get my sleeve stuck on the tempo. Those are my main like ones. And just like laughing about it and just doing like,
these ones down so we don't see ourselves.
Okay, we got it.
You wouldn't. Don't worry. I'm clumsy as hell. But just being flexible, patient, and just remembering why you're there is to have a good time and have a good time with the crowd and make sure they have fun. And so that really just like, to this day really helps me, because I think it's really easy for newer DJs especially to get very worked up about like perfection and, you know, making this certain impression and, you know, they won't release their mix if there's one little blip in it or something like that. And it's like, we're human beings. Like, if you had a good time, that's going to come through your art no matter what. So
absolutely. I always say this, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
That's
you know, like that is my whole mentality about things. And I think that's a really good thing for somebody to remember as they're getting into it too.
Totally.
You know, to be honest, people forget bad stuff easy. You know, like,
so easy.
You can screw up and people will be like, you suck. And then like 3 days later, they'll never think about it again. But like, if you did something awesome, they'll be talking about it forever.
Yeah.
So true.
And huge DJs mess up all the time. Yeah. Some of my favorite DJs, I've heard them clang like hard. Yeah. And like, I literally don't think any less of them. I'm like, they're mixing. That's what we all do. We're mixing, right? So it's going to go off sometimes, right?
Yeah. You'll either win or don't, but people walk away. It's so true with the feeling that you give them.
Yeah.
You know, when you're crafting like a set, when you're going into a set and you want to keep it light and fun, fresh, what are some of those elements that you are consciously or unconsciously kind of bringing in to your set?
My sets have been described as being like very high energy. So I have a hard time playing chill music, to be quite honest. But I would say I like to definitely always keep people on their toes. Like, I never really play one vibe throughout an entire set. I respect that because I can't do it. I think it's amazing when DJs can craft like, you know, a melodic or progressive house set that's just flawless, smooth the entire way. Like there's no jumps up or down, you know what I mean? But for me, it's like, woo, woo, woo. Like I'm going to take you on a wild ride. And so I like just making sure that my playlist that I'm working with has like songs with vocals, songs without, different BPMs, darkness, lightness, like kind of cover the whole thing and see what happens. Yeah,
that's very fun. I've noticed that a lot in your music as well that you've put out. It's kind of, you know, a little bit of a transition, a little bit of back and forth between like the tech house, the minimal tech house, the techno, the like driving, the vocals, kind of a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah.
Is there like a conscious change with that, or it's just kind of you're finding a flow?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I guess I started with tech house. I did pretty much exclusively like house and tech house for, I guess, almost the first 10 years of my like DJing adventures. In the last few years, I've definitely been moving towards faster stuff like techno. I'm getting into like a little bit of breaks, even drum and bass I really enjoy listening to and mixing. So I think my producing kind of reflects that. Like, it's not that I'm saying I'm not a house DJ anymore, because that's definitely, you know, what I have the most practice in and what I love so much. But I decided, I guess, when I started getting into this techno stuff and started getting booked to play techno, like I wasn't going to put myself in a box. Like I'm going to make whatever genre I want and whatever. And if I had some sort of manager or something, they might say, you know, you should try and make this one vibe and stick to your brand. But I think that is my brand. So I think it works for me.
I feel the same way personally. Like the way you're describing, I feel like you're like, I'm hearing myself talk about myself with how, like, you know, a set will be like, it'll be dark, it'll be light, it'll be fast, it'll be slow, it'll be chill, it'll be not chill. Like, you can't just sit. It's like this is basically episode 2 of ADHD at After Hours. You know what I mean? Like, it's just essentially what it is.
Straight up
so
though.
It's like, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I very much identify with that. And also the thing I actually wanted to ask too was, because you said you started with dubstep back in that era. What made you stop listening to or playing dubstep?
I started hearing more house music that I really liked. And in fact, the one artist that I really remember changing my mind was Jack Beats. And they play kind of, back then especially, like kind of bassy house. I wouldn't say it's like the bass house of today, but it had a lot of wubs and stuff like that. So I think I felt that connection to it because I was used to dubstep, but then just the 4 on the floor a little bit quicker and all of that, I was just totally hooked. And like you were saying, you know, about ADHD, like I also have it. And when I jump topics, I go all into the new things. So, you know, that's been me and techno lately. It's like, you know, I just am kind of on this kick and it could end or change at any time. But right now, that's where I'm at. So
for sure.
Yeah, I had kind of have a similar experience myself, because in the I guess when the 2014, when it started to go down, like the genre itself was basically disappearing for trap and Moonbaton at the time, and both of those genres kind of sort of also kind of disappeared. But in the meantime, before that, I was starting to get more into really deep house and like kind of more like garage vibes.
Cool.
And and almost tropical, you know, like, but because I always listened to multiple genres, but like dubstep really dominated for a long time, which is a totally different energy from those. And then like I discovered Disclosure for the first time, which was What's in Your Head. I don't know if you know that song, but it's that was that song when it first came out. I found it, and it still is one of my favorite tracks of all time. Literally flipped my brain. I was like, okay, this is what I listen to now. It's like literally all I listened to was like that kind of like deep house garagey vibes, you know. For a long time, I think for like 2 years, it kind of like was all I listened to for a long time. Like, the dubstep
to house pipeline, man. It happens to all of us.
With a lot of progressive and trance in between. Like I was definitely more like downloading more of that like progressive trance sound, like Artie and Above and Beyond, and that kind of stuff too. I was getting more into that, and so I was like definitely feeling more of that. It's definitely a different energy shift, you know. It goes from that grimy, like masculine, like raw, like in your face aggression, which, you know, even there's a lot of melodic dubstep, but it's still definitely, you want to go like this, you know what I mean?
Totally.
To like, you know, kind of floaty, feminine-y, like, you know, like kind of
more up here,
up here, like high vibrational, like, which is, you know, and again, if I listen to the stuff that I used to listen to back then, which I do on occasion now, the dubstep that I used to listen to, I'm 100% all in. Like I could not, I feel like I enjoy it now more because back then I thought it would be with us forever, and it isn't. Like it just isn't. We don't have.
You miss it. You miss it so much.
There's like the odd producer that's making similar style like dubstep from back in those days, but now it's all just like heavy rhythm, like
everything changes, right?
Yeah. It's like, you know, like I mean, just the evolution, I think, with almost all genres of music is it's gotten a little more dumbed down in the mainstream, not in the underground, but in the mainstream. It's gotten a lot more dumbed down. Like hip hop today versus 15, 20 years ago. It's not the same. I think dubstep's kind of the same. Like dubstep 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not even close to what it is now. Like it's just a totally different.
It's a different genre altogether. Yeah. I guess is there a show situation that you favor above all else? Like,
what do you mean by that?
Like a techno? Would you rather go in and play a dark underground techno?
Your last meal. I like to call this the last meal. Like, what's your last show? You're being put on the electric chair. What genre are you going to go listen to?
Do you play at Celebrities? Do you play at Gorgamage? Do you play at Van Tech?
Ooh.
Do you play at Shambhala? Is that your...
Honestly, probably at one of the festivals. Shambhala or Bass Coast. And I would probably play like a middle of the night, techno set. I don't play a lot of really dark techno. I actually also like a lot of the modern day trance, which is why I'm glad you brought that up. Like it's honestly kind of poppy. And like hard groove. I don't know if you've heard of that genre, but I'm very obsessed with it. It's essentially playing off of like what they used to call tribal techno. So it's more minimal and like it's almost like sped up house music, if you would. It's all about drums. It's not dark in any way or like heavy and thick. It's kind of like groovy, you know? But just fast. And so I've been playing a lot of that and like vocal trance stuff, remixes. Like that would probably be my last meal, if you would. Just super fun and go all out and just
What about you?
Me? Oh my gosh. Put on a spot. I think I'm a lot like my No Sunday Scaries, which is a Twitch set that I play every single Sunday. That is by far, I've done it for a year and a half, and I think I'll do it till the day I die. But it's this melodic, like progressive journey that goes up into a little bit of techno and then cascades into like the melodic, the happy, the big tunes, the explosion at the end, and then peters off into like organic house. Ooh. So like this like roller coaster almost.
Totally. Love that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah.
A really big epic progressive set for sure.
Nice.
Some sort of like 4-minute transition nonsense, kind of like big sound, like volumetric, like Fred's style, like set. You know what I mean? Like
he's coming to Vancouver.
I saw that.
Tickets immediately.
Very sick.
So,
yeah. Are there producers and DJs that you follow exclusively, or do you kind of just float around as your tastes kind of change?
Yeah, I definitely float around. One of my personal goals has been to support like smaller producers lately. So I've been finding a lot of gems. Well, first of all, from my friends, shout out the homies, all making awesome music.
Yeah. Oh my God, the stuff that's coming out of the city right now.
So sick.
It's incredible.
So good.
But beyond that, like SoundCloud, Bandcamp, you know, I have songs that I think are like so sick by producers that have like 1,000 followers or less, you know, like they're just random people. And I wanted to shout out this thing I've been using called A-Slice for any DJs out there if you're making money from shows.
A-slice?
Just A-Slice.
A-Slice.
Essentially, you can upload your slice of pizza. You can A-slice a pizza now. You can upload your record box playlist from gigs that you do live where you were paid, and you can give a percentage of your wage, if you want, to the people who produce the tracks in your set.
Oh, cool.
And I've actually connected with tons of producers that way, because it says like Awood sent you 50 cents or whatever, which seems like not a lot, but that's like millions of streams.
But for one play, that's cool.
Exactly. And I'm only giving up, $5-10 out of my
That's a sick idea. I love that.
Out of my wage. And then like I've gotten DMs from them being like, yo, thank you so much. Like random lads in Ireland and all over the world, people just they want their music to be heard. So it's pretty cool.
It's a neat notification that somebody's played your track too. Like,
totally.
Because you get notifications on social media and blah, 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 but like to be somebody who actually paid you regardless of how much it was.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you produce, definitely sign up for it too, and you can get those notifications. So
if you're interested in, because you just talked about like up and coming producers, there's this girl, her name's Alley Cat. Her star is rising like a rocket ship right now, but she started off pretty small beginning of this year, and she produces dubstep, like what we're.
I'm pretty sure I've seen her on the social medias. I'll have to follow up.
Yeah,
That's
so
sick.
go. I mean, you just go on her Spotify playlist, and every song is legendary.
Amazing.
Yeah,
and
so
also,
good.
yeah, that's a really good way to connect with producers all over the world
Totally.
too. Yeah. Are there things that they have, like, what kind of connection points are you making with them? Like, do you want to collaborate with them, get advice, chit chat? I mean, you can do everything.
Sometimes it's just as simple as like a mutual respect thing, but sometimes I've stayed in touch with people. I met these guys who have their own record label and they're pressing vinyls, so they have actually been sending me some of their new releases, like early and stuff like that on vinyl, and getting my feedback. Just having people to chat with about, being kind of an artist at this level, if you would. Is great. And also, like, hopefully I'd like to travel and meet up with some of these people and go see their shows and see what they're doing in their cities and how the nightlife is and all that.
And connection points and
so
stuff.
are you learning how to play on vinyl, or you are playing on vinyl right now?
Funny you should ask. No, I am learning. I am learning. It's kind of similar. It feels like I'm a baby DJ again, which feels really good because like maybe last year I saw Sven Bath play an 8-hour vinyl set in Mexico when I was there. Wow.
How was that set?
Oh my gosh.
Tell me everything.
It was life-changing. Like, it was flawless, and he was definitely like rolling hard with all of us, and it was just like the sun was coming up, and this guy was not stopping, so I was not stopping, basically, was the energy. Like, it was incredible music, flawless mixing, and he would hold up the records like before he'd play them, and we'd all like praise the records. It was so sick.
Oh, wow.
And then
I was legit vinyl. Like, we're not like doing like digital to vinyl. That's like, here's the record,
just
play
records.
it.
Wild. So then my one-track mind got very stuck on learning that.
This is the thing now.
I messed around at like Lalo, my homie's house, and he showed me a bit, and then I was like, okay, this is gonna be expensive, this is gonna be a lot of hard work, but you got to do it. And so I grabbed some Technics. I picked up some records over the past year on my travels and whatnot, and I've been doing it. Like, I still have a long way to go, but I'm actually booked for my first vinyl set in January. So
exciting.
A few more weeks to grind it out.
Tell us everything.
TBD, honestly, on the deets. But it's shout out Lalo, my homie. He booked me because he knew that I've been grinding on it, and
that's amazing.
I'm really nervous and excited. Exactly.
I have to say, I don't think I've seen very many vinyl sets in Vancouver.
For sure.
No, I don't
Not that
think
many.
so either.
Not that many. I don't think
I've seen any like true
actually. Now that I think about
techno vinyl sets.
I mean, at festivals, definitely you've seen them.
Totally.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be awesome. And it totally relit my flame, like, for DJing. I feel like I have a whole new view on it.
Yeah. Did you feel like it was kind of going a little bit down? Like, you were kind of...
Not necessarily down, but I wasn't challenging myself enough for myself. Like, I really love a challenge. Like, I mean, I'm kind of crazy. Like, I literally started mixing vinyl a few weeks ago, and I'm like taking a gig in a couple weeks, and it's like so easy to clang and mess it up. But
I mean, let's be honest, DJing on like digital
Yeah.
gear is pretty easy. It's like the basics of it are pretty. I mean, you can get very like the high end is definitely, if you want to be awesome,
crazy.
It's way harder to be awesome.
Totally.
But like the basics,
Yeah.
you're not challenging yourself just going in and playing. It's just like
For
whatever.
sure. Yeah. And another thing I love about vinyl is there's no screens. So I find it is a bit more of like a, I don't want to sound too like hippy dippy here, but like it's kind of more spiritual because I can like put all of my phone's computers away and it's just completely just me and these pieces of vinyl that play music, which is crazy to begin with. But taking away the screens has been like super cool, and I can imagine doing that in front of a crowd and how like liberating that would feel in a way. I don't know.
Are there things out of vinyl that you've already learned, even though it's a couple weeks? Because a lot of people say, oh, I remember doing vinyl a long time ago and now all the technology and screens, but I remember all these lessons that I was picking up from vinyl.
Yeah, Basically, you don't need anything else except for a good mix, like in terms of EQ and beat matching. Like, you don't really need the fancy tricks and effects. If you can just do the basics and enjoy yourself and pick good music, then you're good. Like, it's going to be an awesome set. You know what I mean?
Just simplify everything.
Just simplify it. And another thing it's taught me is to be patient, right? Because with vinyl, you can't really, like, I'm usually an aggressive mixer on CDJs. Like, I'll slam tracks in, I'll switch basses. Like, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But with vinyl, you have to wait and really make sure that it's matched and keep adjusting it and always working the pitch fader, right, to make sure that it's perfectly in line. And so you have to, like, let it play for, like, many bars and making sure it's right before you're confident.
By a tenth of a beat, and by your 10th beat, it's off a whole beat.
Totally.
Yeah. So you got to let it marinate a little bit to make sure it's on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of meditate because there's no loop. So when the track runs out, it's silence, right? So you have a finite amount of time. You're trying to do this very technical, finicky matching of the beats.
Yeah.
And like I've found myself when I'm practicing, like about to kind of be like, you know, and like freak out, but that's not going to help the process. It's going to make it way worse.
Yes.
So you have to just take a deep breath and be like, I got this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that goes for anything, whether you're DJing on vinyl or digital.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has your skills with the CDJs, like beat matching and stuff like that, really translated over into vinyl? Or do you find it's a whole different skill set to beat match with vinyl?
I think it's a whole different physical skill set, but in terms of being able to hear when it's really locked in, that definitely translates. Because like I've taught tons of DJs how to DJ in my house. I love doing that. And I love learning through them and seeing what they're struggling with and thinking about like myself going through that and how to help them. And a lot of the time at first, it's very hard to find the beat match. Like they know what that means and they know what the goal is, but they can't quite hear when that is a reality versus I feel like after, I guess, 10 plus years, I can now like, I hear that moment and feel it when it like clicks in, you know?
Yeah.
And so you really need to do that for vinyl because otherwise you have no reference point of where you're trying to get towards. Even though it'll go off right away anyways.
I love that dichotomy too of just like being able to like meditate and learn the patience rather than like all these sets that you've done are so high energy and throwing things in. Yeah. Do you find that so many like life learning lessons are kind of made through all these DJs?
They are. It's actually crazy that you say that. It's telling me to slow down for sure. Like this year I struggled with a lot of like health problems that came out of nowhere. I've never had any issues with any part of my body. And this year it was like 5 things in a row. And so I was like, you know, you got to just slow down, chill out, and be patient with yourself. If you can't go out, if you can't stay up all night, if you can't take a gig, whatever, you know, it's more important to be healthy. So I think that also vinyl came into my life at a great time for that because it's like now I can just chill at home and play vinyl for like 4 hours and it's so cozy and nice.
And that warm feeling.
You don't need to put on a blue light filter.
Save your eyes.
Your headphones.
No 5G. I'm joking.
Oh, that's really great though. No, I think that's such a good thing. Like, you know, DJing is especially the underground versus the mainstream and the pop culture. Like, I think it just kind of gives you a whole different perspective on life because you're dealing with so many different aspects, the people that you have to interact with, whether it be producers or whatnot, promoters versus the crowd and then also the equipment and learning the music and then feeling the music too. Was there like a kind of a natural evolution into like feeling the music and feeling the crowd and like learning that aspect of the DJ world? Yeah,
for sure. I think it goes back to having fun for sure and being present during your sets. That's another thing. Like when I started out, I was so worried about what I was actually doing that I wasn't really being present and looking at the crowd, you know? I'll shout out my partner Lucci, right? She's been DJing
tons of back-to-backs,
right? She's incredible. But sometimes I've hollered at her from the crowd when she was starting out. I'm like, look up, you know, like look over here because there's this incredible thing happening in front of you, and you're killing it. But you're so zoned in right now that I don't want you to miss this moment. You know,
the perfectionist syndrome for sure. Some of my favorite DJs that were like when they were just starting and they were killing it, but they're just just zoned in
Yeah.
onto the laptop.
And
or
of course, right?
Everybody
Yeah.
does
Just like-
that.
Yeah.
and you can see
especially
they're
when
like
starting.
holding on for dear life, even though everything
Yeah.
they're doing is flawless. But they're like
Right?
They don't have no idea what's going on out there.
And it takes a
Yeah.
long time to get to that
Yeah.
point. Because even this year
Mhm.
or last year when I played at Shambhala, you know, I was like, you have to be present for this. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Totally.
You're going to be fine. Forget about your mixing. The
Yeah.
songs are all great.
Yeah.
You need to enjoy this moment and be really there with your heart, you know?
Mhm.
And so definitely it's nice when you get, you know, faster and better at the technical aspects
Yeah,
of
you
it
get it out
because
of the way.
you can be more present. You know, I'm not always holding on to something on the mixer. Sometimes I'm just dancing and
Yeah.
vibing and enjoying the music.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You know?
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that is so forgotten too. Is
Mhm.
like you're allowed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to dance and have fun. You don't constantly like, need to
I
be
feel like
doing
some of the most
things.
popular DJs are definitely
Enjoying.
like not
Yeah.
enjoying. They're like crowd engagers.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They're like
Mhm.
doing something, like just hyping things up or doing whatever, or
Like,
Or just
what?
dancing,
like-
vibing on the same
yeah,
level,
throwing
right?
cakes
Yeah.
at people, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like just
Whatever you wanna
doing
do.
whatever. Like, but that's
Yeah.
like I think that adds to like the cachet of the performance.
Yeah.
Sometimes is it's when you're performative.
Mhm.
You know, not
Yeah.
necessarily saying you have to be that way, but like the more you can get to that, the more you might be able to engage with the crowd, like you were saying.
Mhm.
I definitely encourage everyone to check out a techno DJ I've been into lately. His name is Patrick Mason.
Mm.
He's very queer and he is a professional dancer. And so when he's
Mhm.
DJing, he is dropping the sickest moves you've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like, you know,
So
Green
cool.
Velvet does, but like on a whole other level. And
Yeah.
I've seen on, you know, their videos, like some criticism and this and that, like you should be DJing and stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
Why?
like you were saying, it's like,
Yeah.
it's more than just the technical in and out. That's
Mhm.
one thing. But
Yeah.
this person is literally lighting up this entire festival with their energy alone. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like,
if they're so good
Yeah.
at what they're doing that they could do both and still
Yeah.
kill it, like why are you judging?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Can you
Sorry,
do
you're
that?
jealous.
Why don't,
yeah.
you, why don't you add a third
Yeah.
thing? Let's like, why
Yeah.
don't you like bake some cookies, dance, and
Bing.
DJ,
Yeah.
do it all.
Oh my God,
Start throwing
sign
cookies
me
into the
up.
crowd, like
Yeah.
do whatever.
I'll
Like
just
if
start
you're
writing
kicking,
an affidavit
if you're
as
kicking
I'm
ass,
mixing.
yeah, you're kicking ass at three things at once. Why not add a fourth? Let's juggle
Steve
too.
Aoki
Like,
on a budget. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, just do all the things. Like
Yeah.
you know, just in the middle of like your DJ set, pause it, be like 3-minute comedy routine, play again, let's go. You know, just you know, like just
I would
spice
love
it
that,
up.
actually.
Why
Totally.
not?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Do
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody, like all DJs who are listening, you know, just like
Mhm.
really don't be afraid to like
Mhm.
change and do what you want and express yourself like to the fullest.
Mhm.
And you don't have to just be this like robot just mixing for everybody. Like you're a human being and they want to see you having fun too. You're
Yeah.
picking these fire bangers, you know,
Yeah.
so
Enjoy it.
it sounds pretty fun, you know, it is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
Let's all have a good time.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
you know, when you're talking about picking the bangers
Yeah.
and playing at Shambhala
Mhm.
and engaging with the crowd, did you create a set list that you kind of felt you were going to stick closely to so you had more room and bandwidth with your energy and mind to
Mhm.
focus on the crowd?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, I didn't have it planned song for song, but
Yeah.
I had a pretty good idea of like sections of where I
Mhm.
wanted to take it. I was also playing at 5 p.m. It was very hot, so I knew I needed to keep it at a certain
Yeah,
pace.
yeah.
Shout out my mom though, raving
Yeah.
hard for that set in the 40-degree heat, 45 almost. But yeah, no,
That's so sick.
yeah, very sick.
Yeah.
I try not to plan things to the T because
Mhm.
it will always change or I'll always find something else I want to play or the vibe
Mhm.
might go a different way. But definitely had some idea because I didn't
Mhm.
want to be all stressed. It's weird. You're in your tent with your USB in the dirt, you know, and then
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going to go play
Yeah.
this thing. Like you
Yeah.
want to feel
Yeah.
prepared in whatever
Yeah.
way that you can. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I would love to have my mom be at like a big show.
Mhm.
Because my mom's a partier, but she's she's not healthy enough to party anymore. But she's
That
a
would
big
be so
big
cool.
partier. She's the life of the party when she was in her day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess with the Shambhala gig
Yeah.
too, like with the whole situation regarding it, like did you apply at first? Did they approach you? Like how did you like even getting bigger and bigger gigs? Like
Yeah.
Shambhala is like ticket, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially because
Um,
that's where it all started, kind of the
Right,
journey.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Shambhala 10 times, so
Mhm.
I've spent almost 2 months at Shambhala, which blows my mind, like that I'm still
when you
here
think about it, yeah,
and I
yeah.
still have all my limbs and I'm all
Yeah.
good. But no, all jokes aside, I got really lucky. I got booked to open for Ben Fox and DJ Soup, who actually book for the Pagoda. And so that was at MIA. Shout out MIA again. And I was opening like 9 or 10 p.m. or something. Yeah. And they were dropping off their stuff at the club. And I actually made them a card that said, like, from my heart, like how important Shambhala is to me and how it completely changed my life, and how at any point in the future, if they need another like opener at the Pagoda or something, like hit me up. And they got my note. They thought it was adorable. And they actually ended up sitting there. It was just me and them in the club. There was not a single other person there yet.
Oh, wow.
And I played my set for them. And then COVID happened.
Sick. Okay.
So 2-3 years passed. And then I just randomly woke up with a DM from DJ Soup. And I when I saw his name, I had this feeling and I knew what it was already. And I just like, it was a really good day. Yeah.
What a moment. That's so sick. Nice call on the fucking card and like, wow. And then just throw it down. Just, hey, this is just the three of us. Let's go.
Yeah. And that's great advice also, like for everyone, is don't be afraid to ask. It's awkward and like it's awkward to open up your heart, but if there's something really important or a special club or a special DJ that you'd love to open for, whatever it is, just ask and just express your interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The worst they say is no, or they don't hit you up, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But
no harm, no foul.
There's so many opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't put myself out there.
Yeah. I guess even getting gigs too, do you find it was a combination of approaching the right people or just being right place, right time? Did you do something specific with your social media even?
No, I would say I'm pretty terrible at social media, to be honest. It's not my strong suit. But I think honestly just being my genuine self and like also being out as a queer person definitely helped in the beginning, because I got connected to a lot of like the queer groups in town, like Hotline, Babes on Babes, stuff like that. So that was a great way to get my foot in the door and get more experience. But honestly, the gigs have just been slowly ramping up over all of those years. You know, at the first couple of years, it was like a few times a year. And now, like, I have awesome gigs often. And I feel very grateful for that. But just be yourself and, just talk to people, honestly. Just be straight up, you know? Like, if you want to play celebrities, you got to go tell someone, like, yo, I want to play celebrities. Here's all my sets. Here's what I want to do. Like, whatever it is, you really have to, especially now, I think, not just stand out for your music, but, like, stand out as a human.
Sure.
Yeah. Bringing something interesting to the table. Yeah, I guess, like you're saying, especially now, was there a time that it didn't... I don't know where I want to go with this question. Is there a time where it wasn't as quite as... I guess there's so many DJs now, too. Like, do you feel that is a kind of a competition aspect to it at all? Like, you're so far along, too, that...
I personally think the more DJs, the better. Because I think, like, there's no limit on how many there should be. I think the more DJs we have, the more shows there'll be, the more collectives there'll be, the more music will be made. And like, I truly believe we all like win together, you know? That's why I will teach anyone, especially like queer people and POCs and stuff like that, like how to DJ at my house. Cause it's like, let's keep this going. Let's get more people into this. I think it's more to do with like the social media age, you know? Back in the day, the only way to do things was to go to MIA and say, I want to play here and, you know, whatever. But I think now with social media, which is a blessing and a curse sometimes, but you can really just reach out to people across Canada. Like I recently played in Toronto. I reached out to this group and I love what they're doing. And I just said, hey, are you guys throwing a show? I'm in town for a weekend for work. I'd love to come out. And they said, oh, actually, we're booking this awesome techno DJ from France. Do you want to play? You know?
Wow.
So and it's like, I just sent one message being like, hey, what's up, guys? You're awesome. I love what you're doing. I want to come to your set. And that came out of that, right? So
did you engage with that group prior to that message? Like, did you like, or was that the first time you ever messaged them?
It was the first time I ever messaged them. Like I've been following them and liking their stuff and supporting from afar, but
like but not like direct connection.
No, and like obviously I don't live there, so I've never been out to their club or their night. So
wild,
very
nice,
cool.
You just gotta try.
It never hurts to try. And as long as you're respectful and you're polite about it, you're not bothering them, which obviously you're not.
Totally.
You know, then they can only take it one way, and it's either yes or it's no, and no harm, no foul.
I think the way that you approach it too is very much an offering. You were offering value. You know, and I've spoken about this before. Like when you ask them, you're like, "Hey, I really like your stuff. Like, would you have any good shows that you guys have going on during this period of time?" You're wanting to go to like one of their shows. You're not even saying, "Can you book me for one of your shows?" And they're like, "Hey, we actually need somebody here. Do you want to play?"
Yeah.
Why not?
Sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So like it's especially when you come that's one of the reasons why I asked if you had a previous communication relationship with them. When you went into it offering value, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you're not offering them like the world.
Yeah.
No, it's just instead of being an energy, you're not asking for something, you're offering something. Yeah. It's even if it's like, you know, nothing much to you, you know, you want to go out anyway. So it's like you're self-serving.
Yeah.
So, but it's like they want people to go there and you're like, hey, I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Which is, you start with a compliment. That's great. Exactly. Genuine, authentic. That's also great.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you're a professional.
Yeah.
And you're coming, hey, I want to support what you guys are doing. What's going on?
Yeah. It really is the most perfect script. Keeping it light and professional and fun.
Yeah.
Enjoying yourself. Yeah.
Write it down, kids.
Steal all my tricks, please.
There we go. We're here to give out tricks. I guess too, like even building things and like building and being part of that community too. You're part of the initiative. You've got Babes on Babes, Vitel back in the day.
Yeah.
Like kind of, have you thrown your own shows? Well, you've been a part of an initiative too. Yeah. So how involved have you been in the production and creation of?
I would say not super involved in events yet. It's actually one of my goals in the next year or so to throw my own event. With all of my work and all that other stuff, I've always felt like I don't have time to commit to making music, DJing, and promoting and throwing events.
It's a huge time commitment. It's a huge time commitment.
Totally. Yes. I just want to make sure that I do it right, like for myself. That doesn't mean big or crazy or anything like that. I just want to make sure like I have the right people, it's the right energy that I want, and like a vision, you know what I mean? So I really need to work on that. But being around like Henry and Jay, the initiative, and all the other homies that are throwing events, like it's taught me so much, and I see how much work goes into it. It's crazy. Like
wild. Yeah,
the amount you need to do to make it successful, but definitely on my radar. So stay tuned. Yeah.
Do you have any little tidbits that you can share? Like, do you have an overall vision that you want to put out? Or you don't have to say. Keep it confidential too. But,
I mean, I do definitely, I don't even know if I would play at it, but I definitely want to book some of my friends that are on the come up right now. I have a lot of really great homies that are doing like incredible things. Lucci, obviously.
Yes.
I have another mini crew called Gas Goblin. They're a bunch of my friends.
Fun. Yeah.
Lord Lubit, Walter Wack, Tall Boy Jules, Toast. These guys, they're like some of my producing icons. Like they're so good at making music, and they haven't played a lot, but they would absolutely slay it. Got to shout out Lionessa, my good friend, who is she's from Egypt, and she's been playing like a mix of bass music, techno, and like Arabic traditional music. Yeah,
she is a force.
Woo, yeah, she's powerful for sure. Yeah. So yeah, like I have a bunch of cool friends, and we have like this big crew, and I just want to do something with them. The only issue here is honestly the venues. I'm sure you've heard that before as well, but it's
story of my life.
Very limiting, you know.
Story of my life. For events and photography. To be honest, like
anything art related.
You know, I'll say this once, I'll say it again. I think Vancouver's on the come up, you know, especially as a whole. I know it's a whole city too. Yeah. For the underground,
kicking
for the
and
music.
Screaming, it feels like sometimes.
Kicking and screaming. But, you know, I feel like we're one of the last cities to kind of be discovered, and more people who are in the community and putting out shows. as scattered as we are with our little venues and warehouses that we can find, I think that more people in the scene, creating the scene and meshing and melding and taking things
totally,
and promoting them is only for the good of everyone.
Yeah, I'm always amazed with how the promoters in Vancouver make it work with what we like, the venues that we have, especially after like over the last few years traveling to Detroit, and I went to Berlin this summer, and just seeing what they're working with versus what we're working with. It's like I'm even more proud of our scene for doing its absolute best in these circumstances, with a housing crisis, with a warehouse crisis, with a space crisis in general. Totally. It's really impressive, the creativity, especially within like the DIY scene. Like it's just amazing some of the venues they pull out and are able to throw raves at.
And we've said it before, like what are the and there's very, very, very few silver linings. I mean, we're gonna be feeling the effects of the pandemic and COVID for many, many years to come. But at least for Vancouver, one of the tiny, tiny slivers of a silver lining was the no pun intended, the initiative that groups like Initiative and many others took with like throwing underground parties and like just trying to like really push the underground scene in these venues and warehouses and bush raves and all these things that like like we can't party officially, we're gonna go above and beyond to like
the renegade scene. Really,
it was amazing, like unbelievable. Like I've been here my whole life, and it was nothing like that. Like you go to one warehouse party every 2 months. And that would be sick. And then now we were at a point near the end of 2022. Whatever was the last year before things completely opened up, where we're like, there's 3 warehouse parties tonight, every night this weekend. It's like, I gotta go to this one, then I'll go to this one. What are we doing here? Like, it's like there's too many good parties. And it's like, and every time you went, they were freaking slammed. Slammed. Like it's like everybody had the appetite for it, and like the music was so good, and they weren't getting shut down either. It was
definitely a part of our history. As a rave community.
For sure. And the way that it pivoted into, not everybody who was a part of that really carried that over, but there a lot of people did. And it's really taken us to a place where we're at today. This is not what it was like in 2019.
No.
Not even close.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic. Like the shows that have been coming in, some of the headliners and the different types of music, the local scene, like I think there's a long way to go, but it's probably the best it's ever been since I've lived here.
Absolutely.
The diversity that I'm seeing of DJs, music, people who are playing everything, it's getting better all the time.
No question.
No, that's amazing. So I guess like in the next like couple of years, like where would you like to see yourself? Put yourself 3 years out. What are you doing? What are you playing? Where do you want to be?
Well, I'm definitely playing vinyl often. I have a huge, beautiful vinyl collection. I guess I better be manifesting a lot of money in that case. But no.
A lot of vinyl.
A lot of time sorting
vinyl. Actually, I'd say more to do with like producing. I want to be at a like place where I'm pumping out tunes really easily. I'm able to completely master them all myself. That's kind of the stage that I'm at, where I can make complete songs, I can mix them down, but I kind of need somebody with a studio and whatnot to do that final like mastering process. So I'm really trying to dive in and learn that. But I'll need to get a place where I can have a studio or rent a studio and just kind of take that to that next level. But these things take time. So I'm still just practicing, working on it. Trying to release as like much music as I can. As you notice, whatever genre, whatever I think is good and I like, I'm just like, here we go.
Put stuff out there, get it done, make it happen.
Move on, next adventure and project.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
I don't know. I asked all the questions.
I asked as many questions as I possibly could. And
it's fun because I think you are one of 2 people that we weren't close friends with that we interviewed. So it's like and this was like with Koji. No,
Koji.
I've known Minxie forever. But Koji is like, but it's like it's felt just as easy as doing it with our close friends as it is with like people we just met.
Well, I think that's the industry. I think that's the scene that we're in too, in the underground scene. We've all been connected and we all work.
I feel like I know you guys pretty well.
Yeah. We've all run in and amongst each other. Vancouver's such a small scene.
It is.
We'll see each
other. It's a small city, period, for sure. Yeah. I always say it's a small city trying to wear the big city pants.
Yeah.
And
we're trying.
One big
suspenders.
Dysfunctional rave family. Yeah.
Is there anything parting that you want to kind of like portray into the community or give a little bit of advice for the next upcoming generations, aka myself and Mason, but the people who are coming up after you, what to look out for, what to find, what to seek out?
Yeah, I think I touched on a lot of it, but definitely be true to yourself. Make sure you're having fun. The second that it starts feeling a little bit too, forced, definitely take a look at what you could be doing differently to align more with who you are and what makes you happy. Don't get hung up on perfection. That is not what makes you a good DJ.
I know.
Perfect mixing does not make you a good DJ. Yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah. I think it's part of making you a good DJ, but overwhelmingly is the memories and energy that you leave behind. Is what, I mean, think of all the sets you remember, right? It's all about what you felt during that time. You're not remembering, so-and-so, they missed this mark by like one beat for this 1 second. It's like nobody cares, right?
I'm taking I remember at 3 minutes just 22 seconds of that track.
And just don't give up. Don't be afraid to ask. And it took me 7 or 8 years to start getting consistent gigs, to be making music, to be at a place where I'm pretty happy with my art. So if you're just a few years into it, buckle up and enjoy the journey, because those will be great memories, throughout how far you've come at the end. So you'll be able to look back and appreciate and see the journey for what it is, and look ahead, and there's always more. You can't always be just like, I want this next thing. You have to be like, this is where I'm at and this is sick, Appreciate the moment that you're in. Be patient and love it. Love the process. And then you'll keep working on it. If you love it, you'll keep leveling up, right? Because you'll be like, mixing's fun, I'm gonna practice that. Or I like Ableton, I didn't want to make Ableton because Ableton's scary and ugly, right? So when you first see it, it's like, this isn't going to be fun. But if you can find a way to make it fun for yourself and get past that first hump, like you're good.
It's such a daunting it's like a lot of big industry standard creative softwares. It's like, it's so big you don't know where to start. Like where's the beginning? And it's not going to be good at first, right? Like the first songs I made, they're not great. You know what I mean? But trash. I love them. Because that was the first step. I'm sure yours were lovely. No. Just definitely not. I liken it to snowboarding. I feel like learning Ableton and learning how to figure it out, I still haven't. But it's like snowboarding. It's like really, really difficult to start. But once you get those first couple of carves down the mountain, once you get those first couple of tracks that actually go off, you're like wait, I can actually do this. Don't break your wrist on Ableton though. Hopefully not. I mean, like, you're just why isn't it working? You got the Ableton, whatever that pad is called. The push. The mini keyboard keys are going flying. Maybe. Anyways, don't curse us. It's all a work in progress. We're happy to be here. Exactly. And many more things to come. Well, look out. Morning music. Please follow Awood on all the platforms. Did we get any questions here? All the things. Yes, please ask us questions if you guys have any questions. Everybody was loving it. I think we just answered every question that ever existed. Killed it. Left them speechless. Exactly. Ford and the Fox. I still have wrist problems from snowboarding. Regardless, it was fun. Well, if you try Ableton, fun fact, it comes with 0 wrist problems and allegedly. I'm no doctor, but. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and chatting with us and having fun and hanging out. Please follow all the platforms, all the links, everything will be down below. Please follow us. Subscribe if you like these mugs.
And we'll be back every single week with new podcasts with beautiful artists from Vancouver and the surrounding areas, upcoming rising.
Or just us.
Or just us. You might just get us, and that's okay too. Please come back. Thank you, and see you soon.